common signature that I've seen is cutting.
Okay.
So when you cut your signature, आपके hormones पे problem आता ही आता है.
What are the top 3 things that a girl or a woman would prefer? Okay, how would they like to be treated?
The best thing a man can do for a woman is just awareness.
Drum roll.
If you want to support your woman, वो भगाती है लेकिन
जाने का नहीं.
So, उधर ही
रहने का. Hence prove लड़की के नाम में हाँ है. Basically, a better relationship can be formed if you are much aware of like कि बंदे के साथ चल क्या रहा है.
Exactly.
Like, why is she suddenly becoming like a Kali Mayan?
Just listen.
Yeah.
वो टाइम पे ना एक तो solution मत दो. मतलब don't start with Sandeep Maheshwari talks.
So a lot of people are like, no, but I'm very emotional. Yes, you are an emotional person, but there's a difference between love and attachment. बहुत लोगों को love और attachment में फर्क नहीं समझ में आता.
If you could speak to like 16-year-old Riitu. So so next week is obviously Women's Day, and so we're going to be sharing 3 inspiring stories, starting with Riitu here. And Riitu is and graphologist, and we're going to be exploring like ye kya hai, kyun hai, and what are the things that she's been doing. She's also young scientist awardee for child analysis, right? So yeah, we have like a pretty talented person here. She's an expert in like PCOS as well, and we're going to be exploring and deep diving into like why does it happen, and how you can figure out if you have the thing. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty women-centric episode with a lot of knowledge to take away. And I'm going to now shift to Riitu and let her say like why did she shift from a very conventional life to being a graphologist and handwriting expert.
So thank you so much for having me on your show. This is very humbling. To be honest, this was not decided. Like some things just happen in your life and that's how it goes. Academically, I'm a chartered accountant and a good one. And I really loved my work. Like I specialize in valuations and consulting, and that was something I was enjoying. But I'm a voracious reader, and down the line I started reading stuff about handwriting analysis, and tuck, I became a graphologist.
Nice. Tuck, yeah.
And it's been good. Like, when I learned handwriting analysis, which is just a subset of graphology, I learned a lot about myself as a person.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, ये मैं हूँ. मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है कि ये मैं हूँ. And I realized that, okay, it's time to change. And that change led to transformation. And yeah, like I did a proper MNC job and everything, but then down the line I realized that I need to explore something more, and yeah, this is where I am right now.
Very interesting. मतलब दूसरों पे आजमाने से पहले खुद पे आजमा लिया.
पर यही होता है ना, सच होता है. अगर आप कोई चीज़ सीखते हो तो सबसे पहले आपको खुद पे अप्लाई करना होता है, फिर आपको टेस्ट करना होता है कि ये सच है कि नहीं.
True.
And then you should project it on other people. Like first try it, test it,
exactly,
see the results, and then apply it on other people.
So like I correlate with it because I've had like a very fitness centric एक zone में मैं गया था where I learned so many things because I had an accident, broken neck, the story is famous बना है. तो it's more open, like I can relate with it because before like I became a consultant, like a fitness consultant, like I started giving advice, people started asking for advice, to be honest, and then I realized कि अच्छा ठीक है, I have got some knowledge into it because I've been doing it on myself, and then I'm getting some results, like really good results, and people were like, okay, how do you do it in short span of time?
Correct.
Right? And hence I can very well correlate with you. So how much time has it been like, from a conventional to unconventional life?
Well, the 100% shift has happened 1 month back.
Okay.
When I was like, okay, I need to be in one boat. I cannot be in two boats. Because I learned this when I was 19 and a half, 20. Learned it, practiced it, consulted other people, applied it on other people, did my research in it. So it's been 8.5, 9 years. And what I used to do is I used to work Monday to Friday. Over the weekends, I would take up consulting, do handwriting analysis, learn different things. I also learned from different teachers, read too many books on it, so that, you're developing a skill.
Yeah.
So you have to work hard to develop the skill.
Yeah.
And it's been 10 years, but it's just last year, like in December 2023, and I'm like, okay, मैं दोनों चीजें नहीं कर पा रही हूँ, ना मैं यहाँ की हूँ, ना मैं वहाँ की हूँ. So it's about handwriting analysis and graphology.
Got it. Pretty interesting. Like a lot of people think that what is the right decision? Like you didn't knew कि ये चीज काम करेगी या नहीं करेगी, right?
मुझे अभी भी नहीं पता.
To be honest,
this is my honest answer. मुझे अभी भी नहीं पता.
So I was coming to that part only कि ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है right or wrong decision. It's more often like if you're committed to a decision and you stick to it long enough, eventually you get some results out of it. That is what somewhere I feel. If you're good with it, only then you can stick to it long enough. Like if you don't like something, you won't be able to be like a very long-term player in it.
True.
Right?
Definitely.
So automatically filtration process हो ही जाता है. Like you can't. वरना तो तुम CA ही रहते, हम भी corporate में ही रहते, हम यहाँ बैठे नहीं होते. So yeah, very interesting take. Coming to the book part, you are an author.
Yeah.
Right, and I can see raising reflections here. So, like, how did this happen? And what was your intention when you were writing the book?
So I was in Pune. I shifted from Mumbai to Pune to do this research in PCOS and handwriting formations, and it was a long journey. I was there for almost 1.5 years. When COVID happened, I was stuck in Pune, and under my sir's guidance, under whom I was doing the research and I was taking his help, he came up with a lecture on child analysis, and it was a marvelous lecture. It was too good. And when the lecture concluded, like I went to him and I was like, okay, there should be a book on this. And that is the inception of the book. Before I take any decisions like this, I always consult my father. And the book was all about your childhood patterns. As an adult, whatever we are, it's a hard disk, and we are playing on that memory, and we are playing on all the childhood memories. So it's like you're inputting information from 5 senses. यहाँ पे वो process हो रहा है और उसका output निकल रहा है, और वो processor पूरा का पूरा हमारे बचपन के cassette पे चल रहा है कि in those first 10-12 formative years of a child, what is it that my mother taught me? What is it that my father taught me?
True.
What is the relation I saw between them? What was the role of a sibling? And these things shape you as a person. On the basis of this information, how a child reacts, how they face the world, how are they processing it. So I really like the concepts that I learned in the class, and a lot of the concepts had the base from graphology, spirituality.
Got it.
So the day the class got over, I went to my sir, I proposed this. I spoke with my father also that should I do this, and he's like, do it. And at the same time, simultaneously, I'm closely attached to my nieces. So I was seeing them grow up, and I was like, okay, I really would like to holistically dedicate this to those kids that I really love a lot.
Yes.
And then 2 महीना कोविड था, मैं अपने हॉस्टल में फंस गई थी. तो मैं 14 घंटे सिर्फ नोट्स लिख रही थी, और वो 2 महीने में बन गई.
Yeah, true. So I'm also writing my first book. It's like on the 3rd draft right now, so I can correlate with you a lot.
All the best.
Thank you. And I think a book jo hoti hai na, it's not just reflection for other people, it's also reflection for you, like what you have gone through, right? Like when you write, you go back to that memories, you go back to those situations, and then you reflect upon ki acha theek hai, I am this way because I was treated this way, I am like this because a lot of time we don't give ourselves the gratitude of understanding ki yaar, it's okay. You might not be good at something, but there can be a past because of which, you got that hit. And it's very important to go back in that memory, accept it, because, acceptance is the first key to fixing it, right?
Correct, absolutely.
So once you accept what you have gone through and how it has impacted you, then maybe you can start the journey of improving on that particular aspect.
Absolutely. Now, first you have to accept it.
True.
Make peace with it. Live that memory again. And then move on. Like, you have to forgive yourself for that. Like, I personally believe, this is my personal belief system, that any event which happens in your life, it's either a blessing or it's a lesson. And it's a long journey. It's like a game. You're going from one level to the other level. And you have to keep learning. Yeah. Like, the entire process of life is learn and evolve as a person.
So I definitely agree with it. I also think that, in life, it's very important to realize that how far you have come from where you began.
Correct.
Like, we don't a lot of time take credit in appreciating those baby steps that we have been doing for a very long time.
True.
Like, we don't take a pause. मतलब भागते रहते हैं एकदम कि हाँ ये करना है वो करना है. There's something always to chase, which is good. Like the peak should always.
No, this is absolutely true because I've analyzed so many people. So when I analyze their handwritings, what happens is that your subconscious thoughts come on the paper. Your entire bachpan ka cassette comes on the paper.
Wow.
And when I speak with people, I'm like, this person is not relating with it, and then that person comes back 2-3 weeks later that हाँ ऐसा हुआ था.
True.
But at that point when we were in that counseling session, I couldn't click or relate with it, and it's happened with a lot of people, which shows that people don't have that self-awareness about themselves, that this is what they feel, this is how they react, this is what is triggering them. तो वो बहुत बाद में चल के उनको रियलाइज होता है. तो मैंने पर्सनली ऐसे इतने लोगों को देखा है जिनको खुद के बारे में कुछ पता ही नहीं है, and that time that you should devote to yourself, give to yourself, they're not ready to do that. Like it's like confront yourself first, confront your issues. नहीं, इससे better तो वो ही काम करते रहो, because it's after a point it becomes easier. It's easy to complain than to take a stand for yourself or to do something or put in that extra effort on yourself.
I think why this happens is that I'm gonna just add in my 2 cents to it, is that unmade decisions are the heaviest on your heart. Like you need to be in a better place, you don't need this friend in your life, but how do you break a thing which might help you in the long run but hurts you in the short term? Like it's harder to accept कि हाँ ठीक है मेरे साथ ये हुआ था. Like like for somebody who has gone through like child trauma, it's very hard for a person to like express that I have like PTSD or something like that, because the person has to face those memories again and again.
Yeah, true.
Right? And it's easier for them to like keep it in a box and then ignore it. Right? But वो Pandora का box लेके खोलना, उसको ऐसे रोज देखना, you need to do that to get.
It's scary. It's definitely scary. I've been through that journey myself and I've cried so much. But then I think every person has different way of getting the emotions out, but you have to get it out there. Like you have to channelize those emotions so that you can see yourself, you can face yourself, and what is meant for you, it's like fail fast and get where you're supposed to be in life.
Exhaust the failures. Right? Like,
I hope there are limited failures, but you have to go through that failure process.
You have to fail. Like eventually, before stumbling on the right thing, like you will exhaust all the failures along the way, right? And then you will find that one perfect thing कि हाँ ठीक है ये चल रहा है, and you will be like, okay, this is wow, this is effortless, this is nice.
Yeah, it's effortless when you're doing something you're meant to do. It feels actually effortless.
I'm just gonna add a thing to it कि आज अगर मैं डेडलिफ्ट मारता हूँ 200 kg की, it feels effortless, but वो तब फील नहीं होती थी. Like once you do that process so many times, like for you to read a handwriting and then consult somebody in like 5-10 minutes, you pick up the traits and कि हाँ ठीक है मैंने 10 लोगों के साथ में I pick up the same patterns and then I reaffirm with the person. He said yes, हाँ you're right. So it gives you a positive feedback, right?
Correct.
कि हाँ मतलब मैंने इनको किया. Now you have created evidence for yourself and you build confidence for yourself.
Correct.
अरे यार मैं, and I have done it so many times. Now I know I can lift that weight. Maybe I can squat that weight, because I've done it so many times. हाँ पहले नहीं करता था तो at least in my imagination that अरे करना है तो बढ़ाना पड़ेगा धीरे धीरे.
True.
So it's reverse. People get it very wrong. You have to do it first and then you build the reputation and confidence.
It's skill. You have to work hard, and you have to work hard enough to then develop that trust that whatever I'm telling you, I have 100% confidence I'm right about this. Don't challenge me.
Yeah, true.
And skill needs lot of mehnat. Like you have to be willing to go that extra mile. Like you have to work the 13th hour.
Exactly. You have to face your monsters.
It's full combination, but you just have to be ready to work hard.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say this one thing. Like मेरे को बहुत ज़्यादा इस time पे ये बोलने का मन कर रहा है कि life that you want is behind the conversations that you don't have. You understand? This is very difficult to process, but I'll gonna repeat this. Yeah, the life that you want is behind the conversation that you don't have. Like for me, having a conversation, I'm saying this for the very first time, is having a conversation with my father where I am very emotionally vulnerable is very difficult. But I know it's a conversation that gives me a lot of emotional stability. So the thing is, like, do hard things in life. So I go with this quote, and it means a lot to me, is hard choice is easy life, easy choice is hard life. So it hits me very hard. So I've been trying to do things that give me a lot of good emotional stability, good physical stability in long run, rather than going for things that immediately give me pleasure or think that कि हाँ ठीक है यहाँ पे comfort मिल गया, and now in the long term I don't know like whether it's like for a addict it's abusing drugs, right? Rather than facing the situation, I'm getting relaxed temporarily, right? But the problem is still there, and that is the problem, because I'm avoiding the one thing that I need to do, one thing that I need to face, and to do that I'm abusing myself every day, temporarily delaying it, but the problem is never getting solved.
Correct.
So even if my life ends, the problem still remains the same.
True.
And I could have avoided the entire thing if one day I have a conversation maybe with my wife, my father, my sibling, my friend, or whatever it is, and I get rid of that thing, right? It's gonna be like, as in the thing, it's gonna be very painful. But once you do that one day you face it, it's gonna save you entire life with so much of happiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just adding this from my end. So shifting the conversation now, I wanna shift this to like, how was your parents' support like? I want to emphasize on this because a lot of women, when they go through a very unconventional journey, their parents are like, "Arey, शादी तो करनी है या, you know, why do you want to be like very emotionally, very financially stable?" I do believe everybody should be financially stable, but a lot of time वो parents के बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं. Specifically, I'm girl के हिसाब से मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ. So how was your journey like? कि कैसा था ये?
बहुत अच्छा था.
Nice.
मतलब बहुत अच्छा था. Like मेरे को तो पेरेंट्स के नाम पे शिव पार्वती मिले. Like
nice.
Seriously, very supportive father. I think mothers are very important, but it is the father's support which really takes. It gives you the confidence. It's everything.
True.
Like I know since the time I've been a kid, my dad is like, ये करना है, जाओ, मैं देख लूँगा. Like,
जी ले अपनी जिंदगी.
हाँ, टेंशन मत लो, मैं हूँ. And I was like,
ये क्या बात है?
ऐसे करते करते मैंने बहुत कीड़े किए यार बचपन से. And I'm like, पापा है ना, देख लेंगे.
आपका बापू है.
हाँ, बाप है ना. But you know, it really builds your confidence. It really gives that boost to your self-esteem. My dad has always supported each and every decision of mine.
Awesome.
I feel very blessed and grateful about it because as my family unit, you know, we are like, I have an elder sibling, so we are a family unit of 4. And whenever we take any decisions, we sit together and have those decisions. So when I wanted to become a chartered accountant, my dad is like, go for it. When I wanted to become a graphologist, my dad is like, go for it. The only thing he tells me is that he's a very down-to-earth practical person. So what he tells me is that, see, whatever you choose, you have to work hard. Like,
obviously,
it's never going to be easy.
Easy, yeah.
So he's like, whatever your life choices are, be ready that you have to put in that extra 200%. Because if you want to go somewhere, तो उतने energy में तो नहीं आएगा. You have to put in extra efforts. So that way, he's always supported me. When I wanted to do the research also, I wanted to take a sabbatical leave from my CA work. He supported me. He's like, go for it. Even all the men that I've had in my life, because I've had a lot of guys in my life in the form of my teachers, my physical trainers, father, cousin brothers. Like I would be more close to my cousin brothers. So I've seen a lot of support given to me, which cushions me. So when I was doing this also, so I have a mentor who's my CA, who's the person I would look up to at work. And he's like, ठीक है ना, CA का काम तो तुम कभी भी कर सकती हो ना, तुम्हारी डिग्री कहाँ जा रही है, तुम्हारा मेंबरशिप नंबर कहाँ जा रहा है. तो ही इज लाइक, ये काम करो, क्योंकि वो रिसर्च थोड़ा यूनिक था. तो ही इज लाइक, वो काम करो जो थोड़ा अलग है, जो किसी ने कभी किया नहीं है. बिकॉज इफ यू गेट गुड रिजल्ट्स, देन यू नो यू विल बी एक्सप्लोरिंग अ डिफरेंट जर्नी ऑल टुगेदर. सो इवन विदाउट एक्सप्लेनिंग, यू नो, कभी कभी हमें कोई चीज़ चाहिए होती है तो हमें बहुत अपने आप को प्रूव करना होता है, एक्सप्लेन करना होता है. तो with God's grace, I never had to justify anything to anyone.
Nice. So I'm putting this out there कि I'm already supported. Like I wanted to like ask this question so that एक मैं positive aspect को भी बाहर रख सकूँ. Like there is a notion of things कि हमेशा एक negative zone में ही रहता है बंदा, like कि there is no support. right? I do wanted to twist this in terms of कि support होता भी है, and it's like you have to be very open and very vulnerable कि मुझे क्या करना है, and when your parents maybe see that dedication in you कि हाँ genuinely बंदे को try करना है, and genuinely she wants to do this, and if you're very genuine with your hard work now, eventually the world has to accept your hard work. Like initially maybe Ritu is very fortunate कि उसको support मिला, and I think a lot of people are very fortunate जिनको support मिलता है, कुछ को नहीं भी मिलता to be honest. But you should always be the person who knows what is right for you. You stand by that decision eventually, even if nobody is around you initially supporting you. You build a reputation through building some evidence, and then slowly and gradually things turn.
See, that is what parents see, because for my father also, chartered accountant बन गई और मैं बहुत मेहनत से बनी थी.
Yeah, obviously.
So the thing is that parents want to safeguard you. They are looking at your security, and you have to prove it to them कि मैं जो choose कर रही हूँ, I have a backing. मैं कोई भी ऐसे passion उठा रही हूँ, like नहीं, there is a proper support, there's an evidence. I'm going to prove it to you that there are these things that is happening in the past. I have a proper competitive market analysis going on. There are inputs there to show you that this is a full-fledged thing which is happening. Parents को क्या है? Parents को बस चाहिए कि आप खुश रहो and you don't have any regrets down in the future, because मुझे personally ऐसे लगता है कि parents तुम्हारा बुरा नहीं चाहेंगे. And I feel that I've been fortunate in this aspect, because since I learned graphology, I learned about myself. I worked very hard. Trust me, I've had those very uncomfortable conversations with my entire fam that this is who I am, this is what it is, this is what I like about you, this is what was like weird about us. I've created and cemented that playground on which now when we talk, we have those mature conversations. So now they trust me that, okay, if she has a decision, there is a proper analysis which has gone into that decision. So मैं मतलब ऐसे रैंडमली उठ के कुछ भी नहीं बोल रही हूँ, प्रॉपर सोच समझ के, तो पेरेंट्स का फिर ट्रस्ट आप पे बढ़ जाता है. तो आज बहुत सारे मैंने बच्चों को ऐसे देखा थे, लाइक आई एम नॉट ऑब्लिगेटेड टू टेल दिस टू माई पेरेंट्स. No, you are, because they've raised you, and from nowhere you've come somewhere to an intelligence which is like imparted by them. तुम्हारा DNA यार वो. तो मतलब like some people are like, why should I tell this to my parents? Why not? And then don't come up one day that my parents don't support me. No, because in that each and every day of your life, if you don't involve them, then in the big days also, they are going to be like detached only. They are not going to understand your decisions. So it's like a lot of hard work, and it's like an interplay of a lot of things. Like to have that trust with your parents, you have to work hard to have that relationship also with your parents.
Yeah, you have to. I think you have to work hard in any relationship, to be honest. Like, it's not with your parents.
Because even with my mentor, he sat me down and he's like, क्यों करना है ये? क्या ज़रूरत है ये? So he cross-questioned me a lot. I gave him a proper background about it. I told him what I've been doing, what impact can it have. And that's when, because he's not some stupid person, he's a chartered accountant. He's been analyzing businesses. So he's my mentor. तो वो मुझे कोई गलत एडवाइस नहीं देंगे. मेंटर्स का काम ही है तुम्हें सही मार्गदर्शन कराना. तो ही इज लाइक, ओके, ये कुछ बोल रही है तो कुछ सोच के बोल रही होगी. सो एट एनी गिवन पॉइंट व्हेन इफ एनी पर्सन टेक्स अ डिसीजन, इफ यू वांट योर पेरेंट्स टू सपोर्ट यू, इन्वॉल्व देम इन दैट डिसीजन. मतलब सुनो सबकी, करो खुद की, पर पहले सुनो और बहुत जेन्युइनली सुनो अपने फैमिली मेम्बर्स को. ऐसे नहीं कि बस लाइक हाँ बोलो एंड तुम्हारा फेस लाइक भूत चढ़ा हुआ है एंड यूर लाइक ठीक है मैंने सुन लिया. ऐसे नहीं होता है.
So I feel like support, no support, decision, no decision. It's more of like as Ritu said, is I feel this is you can live with success, you can live with failure, but you can't live with regret. Right?
True.
And more often than not, a lot of times people won't understand your decision. In her case, it was like people were maybe at similar frequency. She could add into that conversation. A lot of time it may be very difficult for a lot of people to have conversation. I'll tell you why. It's because जिस जर्नी को तुम जीना चाहते हो ना, या जिस कॉन्वर्जेशन को तुम करना चाहते हो, जिस बंदे से करना चाहते हो, so अगर तुम्हारी फैमिली में कोई कभी बिजनेसमैन रहा नहीं है, right, then it is very hard for that person to give you advice on being a businessman. It's foolish. you go to the right person, right mentor to get the advice. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
So a lot of time where people go wrong is they ask the wrong people the advice for.
Absolutely.
Right. So I just wanted to add in ki Ritu, in her case, went to the right people to talk with, right? Parents, your mentor.
Yeah, but even when it came to the selection, I did not rely on my parents because I was like,
Yeah.
आप लोग को मैं मेरा डिसीजन बता रही हूँ
Yeah.
और मैं आपको पूरे स्टैट्स बता रही हूँ, बट वो काम जो मुझे करना था फिर मैंने वो 2-3 लोगों से पूछा that should I be doing this, should I be like calling these shots and all, because if you're taking advice you have to take advice from that expert.
Yeah,
if you take advice from your friend on something उसको कुछ मतलब knowledge ही नहीं है उसके बारे में तो तुम उससे एडवाइस नहीं ले सकते हो. फ्रेंड से फिर तुम कोई और फ्रेंड से रिलेटेड एडवाइस लो. तो जब भी अगर आपको लाइफ में एडवाइस लेना है, फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस शुड ऑलवेज बी टू द एक्सपर्ट.
Yeah, if you want to quit smoking, you don't go to a smoker and ask कि अच्छी चीज है या बुरी चीज है, right? Like it's foolish.
Of course, good analogy, but
Yeah, मतलब see, this is where a lot of people go wrong. I think you were lucky enough to understand that things because I want to make it like a playground for everybody to understand this कि हम बहुत बार पूछते सही चीज है, but पूछते गलत बंदे से.
मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल दूं. अगर कोई हस्बैंड वाइफ के बीच में झगड़ा होता है ना, सबसे पहले तो अपने माँ बाप को बताओ ही मत. कभी मत बताओ, बिकॉज अगर वो लड़की अपने पेरेंट्स को जाके बताएगी ना तो माँ बाप को अपने बच्चों की ना गलती नहीं दिखाई देती है. यू आर सपोज टू गो टू अ मैरिज काउंसलर एंड एक्सपर्ट हु इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू ऑल सॉल्व दैट सिचुएशन, कंसिडरिंग इफ इट्स अ रिकरिंग प्रॉब्लम. तुम्हारे माँ बाप तुम्हें कुछ सोल्यूशन नहीं देने वाले हैं. लाइक उनको इन्वॉल्व करके what happens is कि वो फिर ना चीज़ों को aggravate करते हैं क्योंकि वो अपने perspective से देखते हैं. And at the end of the day, the expert is going to help you see that from you both perspective. Like वो couple के perspective से वो solution देगा. आपके माँ बाप का इसमें कोई मतलब रोल होना ही नहीं चाहिए. तो बहुत बार चीज़ें जहाँ पे सुलझ सकती है वहाँ पे वो उलझ जाती है.
हाँ, true. I think इसमें हमने काफ़ी सारी चीज़ों में like observations and awareness की जरूरत होती है. Basically it's just like you need to realize patterns of your own life, right?
True.
And
तो वही मैंने बोला ना, awareness बहुत important है. You become aware of
not denying you, Baba. I'm just summarizing it because not everybody gets it in the first go. But like we'll pivot this to where you are the expert now. I want to go this into the conversation कि it's a Women's Week special episode. So I want to help and spread the information about a lot of things that you want to speak about, and I also want to speak about in terms of getting it out in the world, and it should be out there, right? So I want to ask this, like, why should both men and women be aware of like menstruation or period cycle?
See, a woman should be aware about periods, her menstrual cycle, because it's a body.
Yeah.
So if you want to have more control over your body, you should know your body really well. Now, menstrual cycle, to be very honest, it's complicated because what happens is in menstruation, every day there are changes happening in hormones. That hormonal change is going to impact your emotions. It's going to have an impact on your mood. So it is very important for a man also to know this. So then he is in better position. He's more equipped to handle his wife, to handle his daughter, to handle his sister or his girlfriend. You should be more equipped to handle that person's emotions.
Basically a better relationship can be formed if you are much aware of like कि बंदे के साथ चल क्या रहा है.
Exactly.
Like, why is she suddenly becoming like a Kali Ma and suddenly like अरे आज
this is when you say काली माँ ना, जिसको periods हो रहे होते हैं और अगर उसको बहुत severe pain है और अगर कोई लड़का उसको काली माँ बोलेगा ना तो वो बरस जाएगी. वो बोलेगी आजा मैं तुझे काली माँ के रूप दिखाती हूँ.
अब बताती हूँ कि होता क्या है. But very interesting. Like I also wanted, like I have no knowledge about it. I want to also dive into like what is PCOS and what is PCOD and what is the difference.
See, before we dive into PCOS and PCOD, and PCOS and PCOD is the same thing.
Okay. See, I don't know anything about it.
PCOD पहला terminology आया था, which is polycystic ovarian disorder.
Okay.
And disorder से वो syndrome बन गया. वो दोनों का जो issues है वो same ही है.
Okay.
मतलब you know a lot of times people think कि PCOS is different, PCOD different, and दोनों same
चलो
ही
myth
है.
bust हो गया, एक ही चीज है
हाँ,
भाई.
मतलब disorder थोड़ा extreme word है. These are when I have done my research, I've spoken with a lot of gynecologists. So gynecologists were like ये same ही है, मतलब disorder बहुत ही थोड़ा touchy लगता है, तो इसलिए उसको syndrome बना दिया. Before you understand PCOS, because it's an issue related to periods, it's very important to know what periods are, what a normal menstrual cycle is.
Yeah.
And many people don't know that. Like 90% women, because I had to collect a huge data set of handwriting samples, so I used to conduct seminars in a lot of colleges. I've addressed conversations with a lot of girls, like between the age of 18 to 22, because that's when they are in college. And it was shocking that so many girls or women out there don't even know why they get periods. And I was like,
खुदा तुम्हारे साथ ही है ना.
हाँ, मतलब भाई तुम्हारी बॉडी है. You know, men at that point still had some knowledge. I was like, इनको पता ही नहीं है क्या चल रहा है ये.
दूसरों को ज्यादा खबर है.
हाँ, मतलब दूसरे जेंडर को तुम्हारे बॉडी के बारे में ज्यादा पता है, तुम्हें कैसे नहीं पता. So it is so important that if you want to have control over your body, if you want that perfect figure, if you want a good diet, if you want a good sleep, at least know about your body. So starting with periods, it's a menstrual cycle, it's a baby making cycle क्योंकि वो reproductive system है. So it's very important for people to know that it's the reproductive system. It is there in the body for reproduction.
Got it.
So there are, like, reproductive cycle has 5 organs. You'll have ovaries, fallopian tube, uterus, cervix, and vagina. And now the game begins. Like in the ovaries, I'm going to explain this very easy way to you because you're giving me that look कि biology के class में आ गया हूँ मैं. Like you have
back
that.
To 9th standard, back to 9th standard.
Yes, back to 9th standard, and I'm going to make it very simple for you.
Yeah.
So in the ovaries, there are a lot of follicles, and one of these follicles, they mature and they become an egg. Okay, if that egg is not fertilized by a sperm, so there's no baby making. Simple. जब ये ओवरी में eggs होते हैं, like you know, जब वो follicles है, वो follicles mature होते रहते हैं और वो एक mature follicle में से egg release होता है. वो follicles estrogen release करता है ओवरी के अंदर, और वो estrogen जैसे जैसे release होता रहता है, वो follicle mature होते जाता है. Okay. On पीरियड साइकिल को ना 14 डेज में डिवाइड किया जाता है. द फर्स्ट 14 डेज इज कॉल्ड फॉलिक्यूलर फेज, विच इज व्हाई इट्स ऑल अबाउट फॉलिकल्स, एंड द नेक्स्ट 14 डेज इज कॉल्ड ल्यूटिल फेज. ओके, वंस दैट एग गेट्स रिलीज्ड, उसके बाद क्या होगा, तो अभी एग रिलीज हो गया और आपके बॉडी में ईस्ट्रोजन बहुत बढ़ते जा रहा था, इसलिए वो एग रिलीज हो गया. नाउ दैट फॉलिकल जो बच जाता है जिसमें से एग रिलीज हुआ था, दैट फॉलिकल स्टार्ट्स रिलीजिंग दिस हार्मोन कॉल्ड प्रोजेस्टेरॉन. And that egg is still there in that uterus. It's waiting कि is some sperm going to come or not, like.
Yeah.
So now once this egg is there out, body में progesterone release हो रहा है. वो progesterone से जो uterus का wall है ना, वो thick होते जाता है.
Okay.
कि अगर baby होगा तो वो baby वहाँ जाके attach होगा. लेकिन अभी there's no baby. Like considering that this is a normal menstrual cycle and there's no baby making happening, this egg is not getting fertilized. तो वो जो बाकी के 14 days है cycle का, which is called luteal phase, that follicle, like which becomes a corpus luteum, वो degenerate हो जाता है. So this is a normal cycle. Now, as easy as I said it, in this cycle now, in the initial 7 days of the cycle, there is this hormone called FSH which is releasing. It's called follicle stimulating hormone. Then in the next 7 to 14 days, there is this hormone, luteinizing hormone, releasing in the body. Okay, there's estrogen in the body. So estrogen is equivalent of male hormone testosterone. ये जैसे जैसे बढ़ता गया, egg release हो रहा है. So from the 14 to 21 days, then you have estrogen and progesterone releasing in the body. And then from the 21st to the 28th day, ढप खत्म, क्योंकि इनकी जरूरत नहीं है, तो अभी periods आ जाएंगे. तो इतने सारे, like you know, कुछ बढ़ रहा है, कुछ कम हो रहा है, कुछ बढ़ रहा है, कुछ कम हो रहा है. So there are too many hormonal, you know, playground in that ovary happening, and because it's in the bloodstream, it has an impact on your entire mind. तो कभी कभी मतलब एक लेडी को किसी दिन बहुत like mood swings आएंगे, so you know वो बाहर सामने वाला समझेगा कि क्या हो रहा है ऐसे, unless until she's not identifying, she's not able to understand, she'll have different mood swings. And it's normal because imagine अगर आपके बॉडी में कॉन्स्टेंटली हॉर्मोन्स फ्लक्चुएट हो रहे हैं तो यार हॉर्मोन्स आपके ब्लड स्ट्रीम को इम्पैक्ट करता है तो आपके मूड को तो इम्पैक्ट करेगा ही ना. सो देयर आर डेज लाइक यू नो व्हेन यू आर लाइक ला 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 देन देयर आर डेज यू आर लाइक ओ माय गॉड मेरी मौत आ रही है मुझे अकेला छोड़ दो लाइक एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट हैपेंस इन 1 मंथ. तो मेरे 1 महीने के अंदर ना अलग अलग दिन पे अलग अलग रूप दिखेंगे.
नाइस दशावतार हो गया. सो आई वांट समराइज दिस इन टर्म्स ऑफ लाइक it's a repetitive cycle, I know that.
Correct.
And you know there's a lot of hormonal things that is going on in the background as you mentioned with you because of FSH, and because of that a lot of times you feel like very blissful and a lot of time you feel like we don't know anything about this world, like we don't want to be in this world.
Yeah, correct.
And so now let's do this so that it's very helpful for everyone out there. So what are the top 3 things that a girl or a woman would prefer कि जब she is in such phase, like comfort food हो गया या क्या, how would they like to be treated?
From whose perspective?
Men's perspective. Let's do that first because we are the unaware people here. So yeah.
First and foremost, expectation that a girl has from a man when she's on her periods, just be a punching bag.
Oh my God.
Just be a punching bag. मतलब अगर मैं periods पे हूँ ना, मेरी मॉम एक पार्वती है और वो मुझे कुछ सिंपैथी नहीं देगी. वो बोलेगी मेरे को भी तो ये होता था, तुम्हारे जमाने में हम तो ये करते थे वो करते थे, हमें तो मोबाइल नहीं होता था. वो रोती रहेगी. लाइक शी इज नॉट गोना गिव यू एनी सिंपैथी.
कंफर्ट नहीं है वैसे,
कुछ नहीं देगी वो. वो मतलब तुम्हें उल्टा लाइक यू नो बुरा फील कराएगी कि तुम्हें सिंपैथी चाहिए क्यों. सेकंड, पापा लोगों के साथ आप ये बातें नहीं करते हो. इट्स अ डिफरेंट रिस्पेक्ट. You don't have such conversations with your father. Now comes third thing, like if I'm in school or college, I'm not going to discuss this with my professors or teachers. And if I'm in office, I'm not going to discuss this with my boss. बच्चा कौन? बच्चा वो लड़का जो या तो पति होगा या like you know भाई होगा या बॉयफ्रेंड होगा. So just be a punching bag.
Guys, do not have any expectations. Just be okay with everything.
See, because the thing is, if I'm in pain, I'm in unease. मैं कुछ comfort में नहीं हूँ.
Get it.
And it is very normal to have slight amount of uneasiness in the body. तो मैं uneasiness में हूँ. तो मैं वो ट्रांसम्यूट तो नहीं कर सकती. मैं मेरा दर्द तुम्हें तो नहीं दे सकती. तो मतलब एटलीस्ट मैं मुंह से तो वो दर्द दे दूँ तुझे कि तू चुपचाप सुन. मतलब
कुछ तो ट्रांसम्यूट कर.
मतलब इट्स लाइक वो भगाती है लेकिन जाने का नहीं.
This was like, oh,
this is like I'm surprising myself, but this is in one word. Like if you want to support your woman, वो भगाती है लेकिन जाने का नहीं. So, उधर ही रहने का.
Hence prove लड़की के नाम में हाँ है. मतलब
anything you say can be used against you.
Yeah, see, this is the time when it is being proved like girl is accepting it. So yeah, very interesting take. Punching bag. भगाती है पर जाने का नहीं. So
देखो जब पीरियड्स आता है ना तो अनईजीनेस होता है. अभी मैं अनईजीनेस तो मैं एक्सप्लेन तो नहीं कर पाऊंगी वर्ड्स के साथ. मैं तुम्हें वो अनईजीनेस ट्रांसफर भी नहीं कर सकती हूँ. मैं किसी को बोल नहीं पा रही हूँ. सो आई एम गोना टॉक समटाइम्स अबाउट थिंग्स व्हिच इज इरिटेटिंग मी बिकॉज you know there is so much like
you just basically want to release that energy कि ठीक है भाई.
अगर मुझे चिड़चिड़ापन हो रहा है because it's not something like okay if I'm on periods I'm going to be like 24/7 frustrated, but in that moment if I'm expressing something just listen. वो टाइम पे ना एक तो solution मत दो. मतलब don't start with संदीप माहेश्वरी टॉक्स की you know ये करना चाहिए, ये तुम्हारे लिए अच्छा है, या फिर मतलब ऐसे मत बोलो कि you know मतलब मेडिटेट करो, ये करो, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. I don't want this bullshit, dude. Like I have a spasm in my body. मुझे cramps हो रहा है. तो तू चुपचाप सुन. मुझे तेरा ज्ञान मत दे.
Basically they don't want any input from your end. They just want you to listen. That's it.
Correct.
Yeah, I get it.
चुपचाप सुनो.
Like so yeah, do that. So yeah, sorted for the guys. I guess we can do that, like because we don't need to do anything.
But yeah, one thing really helps if this is like for a husband or for a boyfriend. If you can just give your better half a very good hug, it helps. Like it really helps because I'm like अरे कोई तो है.
टेडी बेयर कोई तो मिला.
बहुत शांत कर देता है. Like you know,
it's very calming.
Yeah, it's very calming. Like if I meet my girlfriend or if I meet like some friend of mine and I was like periods, मैं खुश हो जाती हूँ. हाँ, बहुत अलग सुकून. Hugs are so comforting. उसका एक अलग ही सुकून होता है.
Yes. I think एक चीज मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा from a guy perspective कि I think being very respectful of the situation and being very aware of it. Like I think a lot of time we dismiss it because it doesn't happen with us. I think that is also one of the things that we can be much more aware of. Like, I have a sister, like, sometimes I can figure out that, she's going through it and sometimes I can't. I'm not a magician, but, having a sister does help, like you becoming very comfortable with the feminine energy and stuff like that. But I think being very aware, like, okay, you need something to eat, like a chocolate, you need something. Like if you don't want to get out of the bed, do you want me to bring you something? Like small things, I think makes her happy. That's what I figured out.
Yeah. Comfort food helps because your hormones are down, right? So body में ना glucose level भी down होता है. So if you're having something like a chocolate or ice cream, we melt.
I think
like we need that because that energy is gone down, and I'm like.
I think just like just be like a comforting person, I guess, around that person, because they just don't want to do anything basically at that point of time. That's what I feel.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so
everything is a lot of efforts.
Yeah, like just moving literally is a lot of effort. That's what
it varies from person to person, but I'll tell you, the best thing a man can do for a woman is just awareness.
Drum roll.
Like, trust me.
Yeah.
Girls these days are very intelligent, they are independent, they are very hardworking. वो अपने पैसे खुद कमा लेंगे, सब हो जाएगा. We want a person who respects us.
Nice.
So if a person knows about the menstrual cycle, my respect from here goes right over here. That I'm like, okay, you know about this, which means that you're showing interest about me, about my life, and you're involved in my life. तो वो रिस्पेक्ट पड़ जाता है. इट्स लाइक तुम कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो मेरे लिए. इफ आई एम इन पेन, यू कांट डू एनीथिंग, बट योर मेयर अवेयरनेस एंड योर मेयर इन्वॉल्वमेंट shows that you respect me, and it's just wonderful.
So basically it becomes like यार ये तेरी problem तेरे पास रख. Like you become like a part, you try to become like a part of problem. You obviously can't become you can't go through it, but when you see a person कि हाँ ठीक है यार इसको मैटर करता है कि हाँ मेरे साथ ये हो रहा है, I think that is very appreciating for a girl, for a woman to
know. Because so many guys, like some of my friends, they are like, I just want to know a signal कि ये मुझे कोई signal दे दे कि इसको periods आने वाले हैं, मैं भाग जाऊँ. And I was like, as I said, वो भगाती है लेकिन
जाने का नहीं.
Correct.
This is going to be tagline, like भाई भगाती है जाने का नहीं. हाँ, she like okay. So I deep diving into this. So now because we know like what's a healthy cycle and how to deal and how a woman should be respected in that space, is like I want to go back to PCOS, PCOD, which is one and the same thing. Is like what is different into it. Like I want to dissect it for people. Like how does you get that? Like what triggers the situation? And if you are in that situation, how do you get back to being normal? Like I mean normal as in how do you resolve PCOS or PCOD?
Okay, so this is a very good question. With respect to this, there's a very big myth buster that when a woman goes to a gynecologist, majority of the gynecologists are it cannot be reversed. You can only change your lifestyle.
Okay.
Biggest myth buster, yes, it can be reversed. Anything which is there in your body, it is because of your thoughts. The minute you change your thoughts, everything in that external world becomes okay. So with PCOS, first of all, what is happening in your ovaries is कि जो 7 to 14 days में मैंने बोला कि like estrogen बढ़ते जा रहा है और egg निकलेगा 14 दिन के बाद, वो इतना बढ़ जाता है that इनके follicles, जो follicles mature होते हैं, तो वो follicles में दो चीज़ें होती है. या तो वो follicle से egg निकलता ही नहीं है, okay, और वो follicle में से सिर्फ estrogen ही release होते जा रहा है, which is called follicular cyst.
Okay.
That the follicle में से the egg is not coming out, follicular cyst. Second is corpus luteum cyst, कि मतलब आपका जो corpus luteum है उसमें fluid बढ़ते जा रहा है, sacs बनते जा रहे हैं, इसलिए like वो cyst होते जा रहा है. So this is another form of PCOS, another form of cyst.
Okay.
ठीक है.
Okay.
अब इसमें हो क्या रहा है कि estrogen बहुत बढ़ रहा है, मतलब that male equivalent testosterone आपके body में बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ते जा रहा है. So physically this is what is happening, that a male hormone is increasing in the woman's body,
Okay.
which is not supporting a healthy period cycle. ये
Got
हो
it.
गया scientific.
Okay.
अब what
Okay.
पूछ लो.
It's like, I was like, what male hormone? Like, is it like testosterone that is increasing, like any other hormone?
Yeah, it's testosterone.
Okay,
जो women के body में estrogen है,
Yeah.
it is equivalent to testosterone.
Yeah.
वो बढ़ते जा रहा है.
हाँ.
और मेल हार्मोन बढ़ते गया तो जो मेल हार्मोन के जो एट्रीब्यूट्स होते हैं वो फिर लेडी में आते जा रहे हैं क्योंकि वो
Got it.
हद से ज्यादा बढ़ते जा
Got
रहा
it.
है.
Okay, so summarizing this just for layman, मेरे ऐसे लोगों के लिए, it's like कि in a normal cycle, your hormones are in balance, okay, due to which like in terms of the entire process, it happens very smoothly. But in case you have like a male hormone increasing in your body, which can be due to lifestyle habits, it happens, and what it does is it hampers your normal feminine process of menstruation. It's that what I'm understanding. And the more severe the lifestyle thing gets, I think more it impacts on the increase in the hormones like testosterone or any other male hormone, and the more severe obstacle it puts in terms of that healthy menstruation cycle. So am I correct in?
Yeah, you're right. बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो एक्सटर्नली आपको चेंज करने को कहा जाता है, जैसे आपके डॉक्टर, कोई भी एक लेडी जिसको PCOS है तो उनकी गायनेक या डॉक्टर जो भी है वो उनको बोलेंगे कि आप अपना वेट कम करो, आप अपने डाइट पे फोकस करो, आप अपनी स्लीप साइकिल पे फोकस करो. ठीक है, तो ये एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स होता है जो बदलना तो होगा ही. क्यों? Because you have to start having that sense of control, that I need to be more in control of my diet, because whatever you're taking in, it's energy, and that is also contributing to your hormonal like fluctuations. Your sleep cycle impacts your hormones, your weight impacts your hormones, all these factors impacted. But the root cause is your thoughts. What are you thinking that you have this, and there is someone like some other girl, what is she thinking that she doesn't have it? कुछ तो फर्क है ना आपकी सोच और दूसरों की सोच में. आज आपकी सोच और मेरी सोच हम दोनों को अलग करती है, तो हमारे सोच से बनती है हमारी दुनिया. So while a lot of people are like it's a lifestyle disorder, you have to change your lifestyle. हाँ, lifestyle तो तुम्हें बदलना ही है, वो तो मतलब by default वो तो आपको बदलना ही बदलना है. But most important is your child analysis. क्या मतलब मेरे दिमाग का जो कैसेट है, मेरे कैसेट में कौन सा मेमोरी चल रहा है जिसकी वजह से मैं कुछ सोच रही हूँ और वो चीजें मेरे साथ हो रही है.
Yeah, basically the subconscious thing that you're not aware of right now, but they have been happening with you for a very, very long time.
Correct.
And that is where Ritu comes in. Like, because I want to add it to your skill as a graphologist. Before even I do that, I want to emphasize on a fact that she's not somebody who's reading this out of a book and telling us the knowledge. She is somebody who has gone in the real world, Pune, and researched on a lot of women. She has been awarded, a Young Scientist Award in child analysis, and because she has so much of vast experience in terms of dealing in real life examples through it, I wanted to make sure कि वो रितु की knowledge बाहर आए. And now I want to go back and pivot this to कि, these are symptoms, right? But a lot of time, like as you mentioned, कि हमें पता नहीं होता कि हमारे साथ में subconsciously what is our cassette doing inside. And I mostly feel कि your internal world reflects your external world.
Correct.
Right? So अगर मेरी internal cassette नहीं चल रही सही से, तो मैं एक्सटर्नल जो भी मेरा बिहेवियर है, जो मेरी बॉडी है, इट वोंट रिफ्लेक्ट द एक्चुअल थिंग, राइट? सो आई वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ does graphology and reading handwriting of these women and people, what are the like common traits that you have picked up, what are the common lifestyle habits you have picked up through your interaction with these people? Okay,
so first I'm going to cover the thought patterns.
Got it.
And then I'll come to the handwriting formations, because both are vast in itself. Yeah. So with respect to thoughts, at any given point, if there is any physical issue, okay, it's never because of one reason. There's always permutation, combination, क्योंकि एक इंसान बहुत unique होता है. तो thoughts जो होता है, thoughts बहुत unique होते हैं. And there's always like an interplay of like a lot of factors. The first and the foremost important thing to note is what is this girl's initial reaction to her first period.
Got it.
Like when menarche happens, जो first period होता है, how has this girl reacted to it? Because she's a girl, she's a little 12, 13, 14-year-old girl. She's just hit puberty. What was her reaction? Because that sets your foundation. Suppose some girls, like, they go through so much pain, like, periods में जो first cycle होता है ना, वो बहुत heavy होता है. It's also called chunks because there is literally chunks of blood flowing out. It's painful, outright painful.
Okay.
So, what was your first encounter with it? Some girls have very embarrassing encounters. Some girls are confused. There are so many mixed emotions around it. It's confusing. Because suppose it's like I'm bleeding. I'm like, ये क्या हो रहा है? मैं अचानक से सब normal था. मैं how did I start bleeding all of it? It's so confusing. Imagine something just happening out of the blue. But in that situation, how did your mom help you cope up with it? How did your teacher help you with it? What was that surrounding environment? What was the comfort you got? It really makes or breaks the game. Because I have interviewed 50 plus women, I have collected more than 300 handwriting samples. I have spoken with so many people. तब जाके वो basis पे आया है कि there are some girls, the first reaction for periods was like, मेरे साथ ये क्यों हो रहा है?
Okay.
Or like, oh my God, I hate this. Like, what the hell is happening? And at the same time, once the intelligence steps in and they're like, ये तो लड़कों को नहीं होता. तो वो फिर एक frustration होती है that why me? इसको भी क्यों नहीं होता? Like, why is this happening to me? Why is the world unfair to me? Why is God unfair to me?
Basically, you just have to live with it. Like, there is no option here, and that tricks you. Like, you feel like कि ठीक है हो रहा है, but like, why is it so mandatory? Like, can't I just shut it off?
Correct. But क्या होता है ना, जैसे दृष्टि ऐसे बने सृष्टि. तो आप जो सोचते हो, हमारे thoughts में ना बहुत power है. बहुत पावर है. लोग जिनको मतलब बहुत हंसते हंसते तुम चीजें बोलते हो ना, वो चीज तुम्हारी बॉडी सुन रही है, तुम्हारा माइंड सुन रहा है, और जो तुम मांगते हो वो तुम्हें देता है. तो इफ यू आर कॉन्स्टेंटली लाइक सेइंग आई हेट पीरियड्स, आई डोंट वांट दिस, क्या है ये, क्या है, व्हाई कुडंट आई जस्ट बी अ बॉय? Okay, now that male hormone will come in excess to you. Okay, you didn't want this ना, so okay, we are not going to release an egg in your body. आपका बॉडी इतना सुनता है आपका, मतलब तो जो चीज आप बहुत मतलब मजाक में बोलते हो वो सच में हो रहा है.
I just want to add एक क्विक थिंग यहाँ पे, तो मेरे को ब्रूस ली याद आ गया सर, आउट ऑफ वियर्ड इज कि ही मेंशन्ड दिस अ व्हाइल बैक, इज दैट मस्ती में भी या आउट ऑफ लाइक एनी सिचुएशन, डोंट abuse yourself in terms of words, because that is why they are called spells. They cast a spell on you.
They do. Because this is a cycle. क्यों? क्योंकि अगर आपका पहला सपोज मान लेते हैं कि ये आपका थॉट्स चल रहा है, ये थॉट्स ना चेन में चलेगा. पता है क्यों? क्योंकि आपका पीरियड अभी कंफर्टेबल नहीं है. यू विल बी लाइक अभी ये कंफर्टेबल भी नहीं है, मतलब मैं जो मतलब मेरे को जो दर्द था अभी ये लाइफ लॉन्ग लाइक सर दर्द बन जाएगा. तो वो चीज़ फिर क्या होता है, अगर PCOS हो गया मतलब आपका जो मेंस्ट्रुएशन है, जो मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल है, उसमें इरेगुलरिटी आ गई, एक में आ गई, दूसरे में आ गई, और फ्रस्ट्रेशन की मतलब
मतलब पहले हो रहा था,
मतलब वो तो पहले लो लेवल पे था, फिर उसकी सिवियरिटी बढ़ते जाती है. सो इट्स अबाउट which is why I said that it's very important कि आपका पहला एनकाउंटर क्या था पीरियड्स के साथ लेके, आप जो अपने बॉडी को बोलते हो वो बहुत अच्छे से सुन रहा है.
तो subconsciously you just remember what you said in your first experience that you go through.
Correct.
Right? अगर तुमने वहीं पे बोल दिया कि नहीं यार ये तो ऐसा है वैसा है ये है वो,
और ये चीजें लड़कियों को याद होती है क्योंकि जो पहला पीरियड होता है ना, जब पहली बार आपका ब्लड फ्लो होता है, तो वो उनको पता होता है कि उनको कैसे ट्रीट किया गया था, हाउ वाज द कंफर्ट ऑफ द फैमिली. बहुत सारे फैमिलीज में ना पीरियड्स को सेलिब्रेट किया जाता है, गर्ल्स को बहुत सजाया जाता है, वो श्रृंगार करते हैं. एंड यू नो द ऑनसेट ऑफ पीरियड्स इज लाइक, ओ शी इज बिकम अ वुमन, सो शी इज एंटरिंग वुमेनहुड, सो इट्स सेलिब्रेटेड. इन सम फैमिलीज व्हाट हैपेंस इज कि बहुत सारे रिस्ट्रिक्शंस होते हैं. मैंने बहुत ऐसे देखो, मेजॉरिटी तो आप डेल्ट विद एन इंडियन set of people because my research was like with all the women who are from India. Luckily they are from different parts of India, but it's from that Indian mindset. तो बहुत सारे families में ऐसा था कि that comfort around periods wasn't there. अब जब तुमको ही comfort नहीं है, एक तो बच्चा पैदा ही उससे हो रहा है, अगर तुमको comfort नहीं है तो तुम बच्चे को कैसे comfortable feel कराओगे? And that girl is a kid. She's still learning. So you know, you have to teach her to become very comfortable about herself, and if you're not doing that bare minimum, she's also going to be confused about it.
मतलब आधी फैमिलीज में तो ये होता है कि बात करना ही टबू है, मतलब शिव 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 कि क्या हो रहा है. It's like a lot of time is there. Also, I want to add it. I don't know if you are aware of it. Kamakya temple. So it has that cycle going on, like periods की तरह उसको celebrate किया जाता है. Like the feminine energy. There is a river that there is an inner cave which turns red. And it demonstrates that entire process of menstruation. It's a very high energy temple. I suddenly remembered it because that's the only temple I know कि जहाँ पे इसको बहुत ही ज़्यादा what do you with honor it's treated, and it has a lot of power. Like people bring cloth from that red when it turns red. It has a lot of energy because it has a lot of like that feminine goddess energy. So I'm not sure, but there is a temple. I do want to visit that temple because just to go through this energy, and I think everyone should because as males, पता नहीं ये मार्केट में क्या फैला के रखा है कि अब male should be feminine or feminine should be male. It's more often like you should embrace both the energies because I think it's like better half. तुम्हारे पास जो है तुम उससे तो rich नहीं बन सकते ना. Like if you already have what you have, so what you need is something different. So for you to understand like a very feminine aspect, like you know this. But
what I've learned is that एक ही शरीर में feminine masculine दोनों energies है, and you're just aligning it, and you're trying to, the more in tandem you are with nature, the more in harmony you are going to be with yourself.
So I let me rephrase this. So what I want to say is that one energy is dominant and one energy you need to tap into. So being a male, your ratio of things, so you might have both the things like yin and yang, but the point is that तुम किस चीज को बढ़ावा दे रहे हो. It's like the wolf you feed. Like some people are like, you know, कि बहुत ज़्यादा अल्फा बनना है, ये बनना है, वो बनना है. So they become rude, they become like very detached, they become like in that extreme of masculinity. And you need to somewhere be on the middle scale. कि you appreciate who you are as a person, but you also respect the other side of energy and you tap into it. So for a female, you may need conscious awareness tapping into masculine energy. For a male, it would be like conscious feminine energy that coexist within all of us.
Correct.
Right? But I wanted to emphasize कि भाई अपने आप तुम वो realize नहीं करते हो. You have to like understand the perspective कि both the things somehow add value to your life. So, you know, as you emphasized on ki the first encounter sort of triggers your subconscious mind, and you know how you essentially treat periods for life. And if that is not right, you subconsciously trigger yourself in having PCOS and PCOD down the line. Right? That is what I have picked up. It can be a possibility.
See, this is one of the factors.
Yeah, one of the factors.
That, you know, if you are having any issue, it's never because of
one thing. Yeah.
Other factors that I have witnessed after interviewing women and speaking with a lot of people
True.
How have their parents treated them? जैसे मैंने बोला कि आप खुद को क्या बोल रहे हो, अब आ जाता है कि आपके पेरेंट्स ने जब आपकी अपब्रिंगिंग की तो वो आपको क्या बोल रहे थे. बहुत बार पता है पेरेंट्स sometimes, at least I've witnessed with more fathers, they body shame their daughters. Body shame in the sense like it's a very extreme word, पर जब आप बहुत मस्ती में भी बोलते हो ना कि ये कितनी मोटी है, या फिर तुम कुछ वर्कआउट नहीं करती, या फिर तुम खेलती कूदती नहीं हो, कुछ भी बहुत बेसिक चीज़ है ये. लेकिन this
for the record ये किसी के साथ नहीं करना चाहिए.
This causes so much discomfort in that girl, so much discomfort that she starts developing anxiety, she starts developing insecurity, inferiority complexes, और उसको अपने खुद के body पे वो confidence ही नहीं आता है. Just if like अगर आपने बहुत मस्ती मजाक में भी अपने बच्चे को बोल दिया कि like you're not that intelligent, or you're putting on weight, या फिर ये बहुत मोटी है. अभी आपके बच्चे आपके थ्रू ही आया ना यार. Like अगर आपको आपके बच्चों से कुछ expect करना है तो पहले खुद करके दिखाओ. बच्चे role modeling में सीख जाएंगे देख के. क्योंकि हर फैमिली का एक नॉर्म होता है, तो वो देख के बच्चे बड़े होते हैं. तो ये एक है कि how parents, what are they talking to their children, how much comfort, how much respect is this girl receiving from her parents. बच्चे छोटे जरूर है और बच्चे आपसे एज में बहुत छोटे हैं, इसका मतलब ये थोड़ी ना कि आपको उनको रिस्पेक्ट नहीं दोगे.
करेक्ट.
तो कितना रिस्पेक्ट आप अपने डॉटर को दे रहे हो?
आई थिंक मैं इसमें सिर्फ एक चीज ऐड करना चाहूंगा, सॉरी इफ आई एम कटिंग यू, इज कि देयर इज नो लेवल और एज जहां से रिस्पेक्ट शुरू होनी चाहिए. लाइक इट शुड बी ऑलवेज.
True.
Like a lot of parents I think miss this point is कि अच्छा बच्चा 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 का हो जाएगा तब जाके मैं इसको थोड़ी सी इज्जत दूंगा. Like अभी तो क्या है, इसको कुछ नहीं पता इसके बारे में. So like you reject even the discussion की possibility because फिर सामने वाले को लगता है क्या है, मेरे को वैसे भी reject करने ही वाला है. Why would I initiate the conversation?
हाँ करेक्ट.
Right.
इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है कि आपका बच्चा जब से आपका गर्भ संस्कार हो रहा है, इवन बिफोर दैट चाइल्ड हैज कम आउट इन दैट वर्ल्ड, गर्भ संस्कार चल रहा है, तो आप जो जो उसको बोल रहे हो वो हर चीज समझ रहा है.
True.
तो कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है वो. तो जो जैसे पैदा भी हो गया, सो फ्रॉम डे 0 टू व्हाटएवर दैट चाइल्ड्स एज इज, व्हाटएवर यू टेल दिस चाइल्ड, उसका पूरा ईगो स्टेट डेवलप हो रहा है एंड यू आर द प्राइमरी कंट्रीब्यूटर. सो व्हाट पेरेंट्स टेल देयर किड्स, व्हाट आर द डायनामिक्स दैट दिस चाइल्ड इज ग्रोइंग अप विद, लाइक व्हाट इज द dynamic that this child sees between the mother and father. That's
True.
how they start projecting
True.
it in the real world in their own relationships.
Got it. I think मेरे को ये पूछना है genuinely is because वो क्या होता है ना, if somebody has gone through child trauma and he has not received love, in parenting he also cannot give love. That is what I've noticed is a lot of time like कि किसी का अगर बचपन खराब रहा है, he doesn't know कि how to form that because he has not been in that father-son bond himself or father-daughter bond himself.
It's very true. So a lot of people are like, no, but I'm very emotional. Yes, you are an emotional person, but there's a difference between love and attachment. बहुत लोगों को love और attachment में फर्क नहीं समझ में आता. Like attachment, love is acceptance. You can love a flower also, you can love a song also, you can love any person. It is how you accept that person, black and white. Attachment तुम्हारा मोह हो जाता है कि और फिर तुम कंट्रोलिंग हो जाते हो कि ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. लव में तुम एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हो कि ऐसा है तो क्या हुआ, जाने दो,
मतलब जैसा है वैसे एक्सेप्ट करो.
बहुत लोग इमोशनल होते हैं, बहुत लोग बहुत अटैच्ड होते हैं, लेकिन उनको लगता है वो बहुत लविंग है. नहीं, अगर आप बहुत इमोशनल और बहुत अटैच्ड हो, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप एक बहुत लविंग इंसान हो.
मतलब just letting someone be themselves is something different and just being there or being around them is not love. राइट. लाइक वो बहुत बार ये हो जाता है ना कि हम सोचते हैं कि हाँ मैं 24 घंटे तो इसके साथ ही रहता हूँ, आई एम लाइक गिविंग फूड, आई एम लाइक गिविंग, बट आर यू इमोशनली अवेलेबल टू दैट पर्सन? इज दैट पर्सन एबल टू रेजोनेट विद यू, कम टू यू, टॉक टू यू? बिकॉज आई फील लाइक कि सबसे रिस्पेक्टफुल थिंग अ पर्सन कैन डू फॉर एनीबडी इज बी वल्नरेबल विद देम.
राइट. बट वल्नरेबिलिटी पता है कहाँ से आती है? वल्नरेबिलिटी एक्सेप्टेंस से आती है.
हाँ. So if the relationship is not love, as you mentioned कि acceptance is love and मोह जो होता है कि हाँ मैंने इसको बांध के रखा हुआ है, lot of parents are like इसको बांध के रखते हैं, restrict करके रखते हैं. So that
हम तो इसके लिए कुछ अच्छा चाहते हैं, हम तुम्हारे लिए जानते हैं कि तुम्हारे लिए क्या बेटर है, क्या जरूरी है, तो वो चीज है. तो एक्सेप्टेंस में अभी बहुत बार द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट विच आई हैव विटनेस्ड इन माई जर्नी, इट्स अ लिटिल difficult to absorb. It was a little difficult for me also to absorb that a lot of girls when they are born, तो जब उनका गर्भ संस्कार होता है या वो थोड़े बड़े भी हो जाते हैं, तो ये चीज़ मैंने इंडियन हाउस होल्ड्स में देखा है कि बहुत बार उनको एक लड़का चाहिए होता है. तो जब गर्भ संस्कार हो रहा है और वो मम्मी सबकॉन्शियसली एंजाइटी में बेबी बॉर्न कर रही है और उसको ऐसा लग रहा है कि मेरा बेटा हो, लाइक यू नो, तो समवेयर और द अदर यू आर रिजेक्टिंग द फेमिनिटी ऑफ द गर्ल.
Remember that. Correct. And because of those memories, because of those things that we ignore, we face a lot of present scenarios. और हम सोचते रहते कि यार हो क्यों रहा है, पीछे है उसका आंसर.
हाँ, correct.
And so yeah, let's pivot this to like we know what it is, we know how it happens. Now let's talk about like through your graphology thing, right? What are the things that you have picked up that are the causes of it, like जो लोगों को पता नहीं था कि उनके साथ है, but you picked up through your
Correct.
skill, right? And can you summarize it to like top 3 or top 5 things like which were very common in everybody? I know lifestyle would be one thing, but your perspective completely.
Okay, so first of all, I have seen permutation and combinations of 40 formations. 40
Nice.
is a lot.
Nice.
So I can't describe all 40.
Obviously, that's fine. Top 5.
Top 5 में से सबसे पहले तो I'm going to discuss in signatures. There are 7 formations I've seen. So let's just cut it to signatures only.
Nice.
Because signature is something you can sign in 3-5 seconds और आपको समझ में आ सकता है. So signature is just those 7 traits. There are like 33 others. So yeah, let me make that clear. In signature, the first common signature that I've seen is cutting. कोई भी अपना नाम लिखता है उसको कट कर देता है. So what is happening is at any given point of time your energy is coming on the paper. This energy is your thought and it's also the blood flow.
Okay.
So when you cut your signature, आपके hormones पे problem आता ही आता है.
Okay.
That's
got
number
it.
one.
Number one.
Then there is overlapping signature कि आप कोई भी signature लिख रहे हो, कोई भी initial है, जैसे मेरा नाम रितु सचनंदानी है, तो मैं R के ऊपर S लिख देती हूँ. Again, that is a subtle form of cutting.
Okay.
इतनी जगह मिली है उसको घुसा क्यों रहे हो एक दूसरे के अंदर.
अच्छा.
ठीक है. So that causes unease, it causes discomfort, it causes anxiety as well. Third formation that I have seen is many people sign only the first name. Suppose जैसे मेरा नाम रितु है, मैं सिर्फ रितु साइन कर रही हूँ, तो मेरा जो पूरा family है, lineage है, somewhere or the other there's a subconscious fight with that, so I'm not even carrying it in my signature.
Okay.
So these people would then try to be very independent, very creative, out of box thinking. It works fantastically well in career, but कहीं ना कहीं body पे impact आता ही आता है, hormones पे तो definitely impact आता है.
Okay.
Fourth is very small size of signature. जो भी handwriting formation है, signature का size इतना छोटा होगा तो उससे क्या होता है, body में contraction होता रहता है. Signature size is also how much space you are occupying. तो आपके environment में आपको इतना space मिला है, उसमें से आप इतनी जगह occupy कर रहे हो, तो उससे insecurity, anxiety हो जाती है. Body में भी contraction होने लगती है. तो body में जैसे ovaries में formation हो रहा है, उसमें contraction होने लगता है. तो ऐसे ladies को मैंने देखा है कि प्रेगनेंसी में भी प्रॉब्लम आती है.
Okay.
द फिफ्थ फॉर्मेशन इज मल्टी लेवल सिग्नेचर. मल्टी लेवल जैसे कि मेरा नाम रितु सचनंदानी है, तो मैं रितु एक लाइन में लिखूंगी, सचनंदानी दूसरे लाइन में लिखूंगी. तो दैट 2 levels ऑफ सिग्नेचर कॉजेज एक्स्ट्रा हार्ड वर्क. वर्क्स वेरी वेल in professional life, but in personal life बैंड बजा के जाता है.
Okay. Stay away.
So this was fifth one, which was multi-level.
So like these are the top 5 that I asked you कि कितने हो सकते हैं, and I think there are a lot of combination that Ritu can't cover on the podcast, but definitely you can always reach
Actually,
out to her.
to be honest, मेरे दिमाग में इतना चीजें चल रहे हैं कि I'm like बाकी तो कौन से थे, because in my head there's like मैं जैसे ही बोल भी रही हूँ ना, मेरे दिमाग में handwriting formations आ रहे हैं, and I was like
she's like scanning under the subconscious mind. इतना सब नहीं हो सकता, but I think it's very interesting to know कि through a sign you can figure out like what are you internally reflecting on yourself, right?
याद आ गए.
So let's happen.
So the sixth one is illegible signature. Again, the percentage of this is really high. Illegible means कि आप कुछ भी साइन करते हो और फिर वो स्क्रिबल की तरह दिखता है.
Okay.
Suppose अगर आप अपना नाम नीरज लिखते हो तो मुझे समझ में ही नहीं आएगा कि N के आगे आपने लिखा क्या है. That's illegible. Legible means clear letters. Illegible means कि समझ में ही नहीं आएगा.
Doctor's writing, यही मेरे को समझ में आता है. Illegible.
लेकिन
कुछ नहीं समझ में आता मेरे को उसके writing के अंदर. Apart from chemistry, अरे भैया ये दवाई चाहिए दे दूंगा.
हाँ, तो वही समझ लो. That's illegible writing. तो वो PCOS में बहुत हद तक देखा गया है कि क्योंकि इनसिक्योरिटी होती है तो जो क्लियर एक्शंस होते हैं वो पूरी तरह से आते नहीं है, बिकॉज एज आई एक्सप्लेन द थॉट फॉर्मेशंस, तो थॉट फॉर्मेशंस में कंफर्टेबली बीइंग योरसेल्फ, एक्सप्रेसिंग हु यू आर, वो नहीं होता है. तो सोशल एनवायरनमेंट में भी, बिकॉज सिग्नेचर इज व्हाट यू शो टू द पब्लिक, सो दैट गेट्स हैम्पर्ड. एंड लास्ट फॉर्मेशन इज एनसर्कलिंग. सपोज आई राइट रितु, तो आर के ऊपर मैं एक सर्कल बना दूंगी एंड देन आई राइट द अदर फॉर्मेशंस. सो व्हाट द एनसर्कलिंग डज ऑल्सो, it creates a covering around you. That extra space gives you that shell around you that I want to be in my shell only. I'm not comfortable also expressing what I'm feeling. So those expressions get curbed.
Very interesting. I think we have covered like why does it happen, what is it about, how you can pick up the traits, how does it get into manifesting on your body, right? So now I wanna pivot this to ki you figured this thing out, you like interacted with so many people, right? So like as you mentioned it earlier ki ye possible hai to reverse.
Correct.
Right. So what would you advise to anybody who's watching and maybe going through the same situation? They might figure out through the signs that you have told, maybe they are in those 7s, and there are a lot of combinations to be honest, as she mentioned. So tum kahin na kahin to ho. So like what would you advise her to do from this day? कि ठीक है, आप पता चल गया कि हाँ रितु ने बता दिया ये होता है, इसलिए होता है, I didn't know, subconsciously I was doing it. Maybe I am वो था ना self abuser person, क्या मैं खुद को बड़ा कोसता हूँ, चाहे कोई हो ना हो, मैं तो पक्का कोसूंगा खुद को, मतलब सबसे बड़ा क्रिटिक मैं ही हूँ खुद का. So they today realize it because of you, and they start to stop it, and that's the step one for change. Now after that, what do they do? Like, where to begin the journey?
So the first and foremost is whatever the doctors advise, I'm going to give the same advice. Start regulating your sleep cycle. Very important. Because sleep is something which is adding rest. It's giving rest to your mind also. Sleep extremely important. Second is your diet, your food. अगर आपको कुछ बदलना है लाइफ में तो अपना खाना भी बदल दो, बिकॉज दैट फूड इज एडिंग ऑल दैट एनर्जी. आपका जो पूरा बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर है वो बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर खाने से ही बन रहा है, वो ब्रेक डाउन होके एनर्जी मिल रही है. सो यू हैव टू मेक चेंजेस इन योर फूड. कम वॉट में जो भी जंक फूड है, प्रोसेस फूड है, नो मीन्स नो. इफ यू वॉन्ट एनीथिंग टू चेंज आउटसाइड, यू हैव टू चेंज वॉट यू आर टेकिंग इनसाइड. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. थर्ड थिंग इज एक्सरसाइज, वॉक. Extremely important, because that walk and all the, एक तो walking मुझे इतना कुछ major exercise लगता नहीं है. You have to involve in yoga exercises, more exercises which involve different parts of your body, ताकि एक flexibility आते जाए. That flexible movement on the outside now creates flexibility inside also. Exercise is that important. So that's number 3. Fourth is sunlight exposure. You have to start getting in tandem with nature. टाइम पे सो, टाइम पे उठो, जाओ जाके धूप देखो, धूप सेको, तब जाके तुम्हारी बॉडी सही होगी. बिकॉज vitamin D is very important for minerals in the body. It is extremely important for your sleep cycle also. And these 4 things, I would call only one thing, that all these 4 things in lifestyle, this is just the beginning of having sense of control over your mind. ये चीजें तुम बाहर कंट्रोल करोगे, मतलब कहीं ना कहीं तुम अपने माइंड को कंट्रोल कर रहे हो. ये बस पता है 5% है. Like if you are able to do this, you're just making the 5% change in the beginning of that process. This is just 5%. It's like that iceberg. 10% दिखता है, 90% नहीं दिखता. अब आता है वो 90% पे. That is your proper childhood patterns.
Got it.
Sit, start journaling, become very comfortable with your past. You have to, and go down the memory lane. Go down those first 10 years of your life, your formative periods.
Got it.
Between year 1 till year 13, 14, जो याद आ रहा है लिखो. If you have your mother, write what are the good things you liked about her, what are the things which she made you uncomfortable about, and the same thing you have to do it for your mother, father, sibling, घर में दादा दादी, नानी, servant, कोई भी है जो जिसने तुम्हारे लाइफ को impact किया, that cousin brother, that cousin sister, anyone, journal it down so that you are clear कि ये सब हुआ है. और ये सब चीजें कुछ आपको comfortable हुई होंगी, कुछ uncomfortable हुआ होगा. You have to have it jotted down so that you know, like you're able to see that mirror. You have to become very comfortable, which means कि तुमको उतना टाइम देना होगा. तुम अगर उतना टाइम नहीं दोगे ना खुद को, तो प्लीज मतलब ये मत एक्सपेक्ट करो कि अरे मैंने एपिसोड सुन लिया मैं ठीक हो जाऊंगी, लाइफ मतलब सुन के ही ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन आ जाएगा. मैंने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया कि मेरा पास्ट अच्छा नहीं था. हाँ तुमने फिजिकली किया, करेगा कौन उसको एक एक लाइक दिन को रीलिव करके. सो इट्स नॉट अ कंफर्टेबल प्रोसेस. इट्स द मोस्ट अगली प्रोसेस. इट्स गोना मेक यू like it's going to make you in that zone of discomfort कि ये मुझे फिर से I don't want to live this, but you have to go through that process. Now once you have that thing jotted down, next comes acceptance. एक्सेप्टेंस की मेरे साथ हुआ है और ये मेरे सोल का जर्नी है. ये बाप को मैंने ही अट्रैक्ट किया, ये माँ को मैंने अट्रैक्ट किया, इनको मुझे कुछ सिखाना था और मैं जल्दी सीख जाऊँ, मेरे लिए अच्छा है. एक्सेप्टेंस इज द की. इट्स लाइक यू नो समटाइम्स हम पता है खुद को फूल करते हैं कि आई एम फॉरगिविंग यू. यू आर नॉट फॉरगिविंग द अदर पर्सन, यू आर फॉरगिविंग योरसेल्फ टू अट्रैक्ट दैट पर्सन इन योर लाइफ. वो आया था तुमको कुछ सिखाने, वो तुम्हारे तंबू मार के गया, अब उसको माफ तुम नहीं कर रहे हो, तुम खुद को माफ कर रहे हो कि मुझे कुछ सीखना था तुझसे, जिसके वजह से तुम ही मेरे बैंड बजाने वाले थे. क्योंकि वो इंसान दूसरों के लाइफ में बैंड नहीं बजा रहा है, वो तुम्हारे लाइफ में ही बैंड बजा रहा है. तो दूसरों के लिए वो देव मनुष्य हो सकता है, तुम्हारे लाइफ में राक्षस बन के आया है. सो इट्स लाइक इट्स योर सोल्स जर्नी. यू अट्रैक्ट डिफरेंट पीपल टू लर्न सर्टेन लेसन्स ऑफ लाइफ. सो यू अट्रैक्ट योर पेरेंट्स, विच इज द बिगेस्ट कार्मिक बॉन्ड दैट यू हैव. एंड दे आर हियर टू टीच यू समथिंग. इसलिए जो मेरे फॉर्मेटिव ईयर में मेरा कैसेट हो रहा है वो मेरे माँ बाप के थ्रू हो रहा है. तो तुम उनको माफ नहीं कर रहे हो, तुम खुद को माफ कर रहे हो ताकि तुम वो जर्नी में और आगे जा सको.
I agree. I think a lot of time you have to forgive other people because you have to let that emotion go. To be honest, like you are doing favor for yourself.
Yeah, but that's the crux, right? You're not forgiving other people. You're forgiving yourself.
Yeah. मतलब that's how you should see it, but that's not how people see it. लेकिन मैं तेरे पे एहसान कर रहा हूँ, बट नहीं, तुम खुद पे एहसान कर रहे हो.
तुम खुद पे एहसान कर रहे हो. तुम किसी के लिए कुछ नहीं कर रहे हो.
Yeah, and you know, maybe the podcast can't completely change your life, but ये सुन के भागो मत. It's more often like I'm just summarizing this as per my understanding is कि basic lifestyle thing जो तुम्हें अपना ट्रैक पे लाना होगा is just an initial shift. Like it's basically like a conversation
tip
starter.
Tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, 5%. Yeah, less than 5%. Most often than not, you need to realize that you need to face your demons, as she said. Journaling down. I have been journaling down for a long time. Like it helps you figure a lot of things out about yourself, about relationships with others, right? So definitely face those uncomfortable conversations, uncomfortable memories, because those are the things that are still triggering uncomfortable experiences in your life.
Correct. There's actually another link to this which is very tiring. पता नहीं कितने लोग कर पाएंगे. But once you're done journaling about your parents, journal about your grandparents also. Do that permutation combination exercise कि मेरी नानी ऐसी थी, मेरी दादी ऐसी थी, मेरे दादा ऐसे थे, मेरे नाना ऐसे थे. क्यों तुम्हारे पेरेंट्स तो आए उन्हीं से, और तुम्हारे पेरेंट्स की जो कैसेट थी वो उनकी बेसिस पे चल रही है. तो आपको अगर समझ में आएगा कि आपके पेरेंट्स ने आपके साथ क्यों बिहेव किया, क्योंकि उनके पेरेंट्स ने ऐसे बिहेव किया, तो तुमको ना जो ग्रजेस है वो थोड़े कम हो जाएंगे कि इनको तो कुछ आता ही नहीं था ना, इन्होंने भी वही मेरे साथ किया जो उनके पेरेंट्स ने उनके साथ किया.
Basically you get to see their side of story.
You are understanding the cycle, and if you want a change to happen, you have to break the cycle, you have to break the pattern. So in order to break the pattern, first understand your pattern.
Yeah, raising reflections, because you know what, I truly honestly believe this कि अगर तुम्हारे parent वही reflect करते हैं जो उन पे reflect हुआ है, and that comes in the lineage. That's why it's very karmic as well, and that's why it's very like somebody has to stop that karma. Like somebody has to be forgiving in the cycle. वरना एक दूसरे को हम अगर अब्यूज ही करते रहेंगे ना, लाइक हाँ ठीक है मेरा बाप तो मुझे थप्पड़ मार के सुला देता था, मैंने वही अपने बच्चे के साथ किया, उस बच्चे ने वही अपने बच्चे के साथ किया. There has to be one son in the lineage, black sheep, black wool, whatever you call it, जो बोलता है कि ठीक है भाई माफ किया, I understand that तुमको और कुछ आता ही नहीं है, like I am forgiving you because I know that you are not at that level कि you were पूरी लाइफ टाइम में तुम्हें अवेयरनेस ही नहीं आई कि यार तुम इसलिए कर रहे हो बिकॉज तुम्हें और कुछ आता ही नहीं है. लाइक यू हैव बीन रिफ्लेक्टिंग योर पेरेंट्स बिहेवियर, योर ग्रैंडपेरेंट्स बिहेवियर.
तो वो गलत नहीं है, मतलब you know you have to then
subconsciously see you do a lot of things subconsciously, but you don't do a lot of things with awareness. राइट, इट्स लाइक अ मेटा डेटा. वो होता है ना कि हम कंप्यूटर के अंदर विंडोज डाल दिया हमने प्रोग्राम, तो वो उस हिसाब से रन करे जा रहा है. तो देयर आर सम बायलॉज इन ह्यूमंस, दैट इज व्हाट आई फील. तो वो बायलॉज जो होते हैं वो तुम्हारे 7-8 साल की उम्र तक, इट्स कॉल्ड प्रोग्रामिंग योरसेल्फ, एंड यू लिव बाय दैट 7-8 साल का प्रोग्रामिंग योर एंटायर लाइफ विदाउट इवन रियलाइजिंग इट. सो एज यू सेड कि हाँ जर्नल करो, बिकॉज देन यू रियलाइज कि तुम्हारे बायलॉज क्या. हाँ मैं हर सिचुएशन में ऐसे ही रिएक्ट करता हूँ, आई स्नैप एवरी टाइम व्हेन दिस थिंग्स कम्स अप. राइट, सो जब तक मैं वो रियलाइज नहीं करूंगा, जब तक आई डोंट चेंज माई पैटर्न. सो रिसेंटली व्हाट आई हैव बीन डूइंग इज कि आई एम अ वेरी डिफरेंट पर्सन सॉर्ट ऑफ लाइक फ्रॉम 2 years फ्रॉम नाउ, बिकॉज नाउ आई रियलाइज कि मैं ऐसा था in terms of having conversation, or in terms of not reflecting on myself, in terms of not facing my demons. So once you start facing those demons, you become lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. तो बोलते हैं आने दो, कितने को face करना है. Like the first one is very difficult to face, second one is less difficult, third one it becomes, and now you are in कि अच्छा यार ये तो growth दे रहा है. Like I am also feeling better. I am not abusing other people in terms of कि जो मेरे पे हुआ है मैं वो दूसरों पे नहीं रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा हूँ. It's not just कि तुम अपने पेरेंट्स पे रिफ्लेक्ट करते हो, you reflect them on your partners, on surroundings, every person. So yeah, definitely realize this thing. Live from point of awareness. Like I tell this to people, live an intentional life. Like don't react to life. जियो. Correct, हाँ. Actually मैं जियो.
Awareness के साथ जियो कि क्यों हो रहा है मेरे साथ.
Like I am 100% sure कि a lot of parents don't even realize कि मैं वही कर रहा हूँ exactly जो मेरे बाप ने मेरे साथ किया है या मेरी माँ ने मेरे साथ किया है. Like they never sit and talk to their child. अच्छा ठीक है, आज का दिन कैसा था, बढ़िया था. आज का साल कैसा था, बढ़िया था. Like अगर ये उनके पेरेंट्स ने उनके साथ नहीं किया ना, this will never happen, because उनके लिए ऐसा है कि यार ये चीज एग्जिस्ट भी करती है, होनी भी चाहिए. Like
कैसे पता ना, तुम्हारे कसेट में ही नहीं है ना वो मैं बोल रही हूँ कसेट है, तुम्हारे कसेट में जो अंदर है वो बाहर आने वाला है.
Yeah, and I just want to give this message कि be the change maker in your life, because you're doing this for yourself. Because तुम अगर अपना attitude दूसरों के लिए change करोगे, whether it's your parents, whether it's your girlfriend, wife, partner, whatever it is, you do yourself a favor, and you become a better person, and they live a better life as well. So yeah, I needed to emphasize on this. I want to pivot this down to one thing is कि इतनी सारी चीजें हो जाती है subconsciously to us, we don't sit and reflect on them, right? So मैं ये re-emphasize इसलिए कर रहा हूँ because I want you guys after this podcast to journal at least one thing. Like, I want people to do that because I think you might discover something about yourself that you were hiding for a very long time, and that is why I'm emphasizing on this fact. The second thing I want to emphasize on that, I want to appreciate Ritu for being very open about sharing a lot of perspective of women about कि क्या होना चाहिए, क्या perspective men का होना चाहिए. Like, it takes a lot of openness to do it in a public forum, so highly appreciated. And the third thing is ki she also does relationship counseling, I guess, right? Yeah. So I want to ask you this question because she's somebody who counsels people on that. Is what is the most important thing in a relationship according to you, and what is that one thing that will definitely break the relationship?
The first and foremost thing which is very important in a relationship is acceptance.
Got it.
जो बहुत टफ है. Acceptance actually जिस इंसान को खुद को वो जितना एक्सेप्ट कर सकता है ना, तुम कितना खुद की स्किन में कंफर्टेबल हो ना, तुम उतना कंफर्टेबली सामने वाले को एक्सेप्ट कर पाओगे.
Got it.
Acceptance creates flexibility. Flexibility makes you flexible towards other people also. It's not about being flexible about your goals कि ठीक है ये नहीं मिला वो नहीं मिला. Your goal stays there. Your ways of reaching that goal becomes flexible.
Okay.
और जिस पार्टनर के साथ तुम वो गोल की तरफ जा रहे हो, फिर तुम उसके साथ भी फ्लेक्सिबल हो जाते हो. तो एक्सेप्टेंस बहुत ज़रूरी है इन अ होलिस्टिक मैनर, बोलने के लिए नहीं, सच में
actually
एक्सेप्ट करो तो बहुत ब्यूटीफुल हो जाती है लाइफ.
Yes, it does.
What breaks the relationship is very high expectations.
Oh, there's a good expectations break. Very very high expectations.
Expectations और acceptance में से
Inversely proportional है. Yeah, I get
तुम्हारा
it.
एक्सेप्टेंस जितना हाई होगा उतनी लाइफ इजी होगी. तुम्हारे एक्सपेक्टेशन जितने लो होंगे उतना तुम सुकून से जी पाओगे.
Very interesting. मतलब basically acceptance is the best form of love, and
Acceptance is a form of love and acceptance is a form of life.
got it. And please don't keep unrealistic expectations because they do kill relationships. Like that is.
But don't forget, like, because this is about periods and it's about women, वो भगाती है लेकिन
जाने का नहीं.
So
yeah. But I want to summarize it to like general people as well. Ki I often than not feel is ki a lot of time we also keep unrealistic expectations from us.
True.
Right. So what happens is that we start unconsciously torturing us कि यार तेरे से नहीं हो सकता. You thought कि तू कर लेगा, because a lot of time you keep goals that you can't achieve in a very short time frame. You can do it. So I told this to a lot of people recently is that think long term so that your short term decisions are better. Right? Don't pressurize yourself too much in that situation.
Correct. True.
Yeah. So I think we have covered a lot about women's perspective, about relationships, about signatures, about lifestyle. And the last thing that I want to say is that keeping yourself happy is your own duty, right? मुझे ऐसा लगता है, now I am trying to be a relationship something here. I am not a coach, please. She's the one. But it's like I want to add this to the podcast because this is my personal take on relationship is you can't be a good partner if you can't accept yourself first, and if you can't accept that कि मुझे खुश रखने की responsibility मेरी है, वो मेरे partner की नहीं है. Like I would expect her to do something for me, but I wouldn't make that a necessity कि हाँ अगर मैं खुश हूँ तो वो मेरे पार्टनर की वजह से होना चाहिए, और अगर मैं अनहैप्पी हूँ बिकॉज माई पार्टनर इज नॉट रिस्पॉन्डिंग इन अ वे दैट आई थिंक, इट्स माई ड्यूटी टू लाइक, अगर मुझे भूख लगी तो मुझे ही रियलाइज होना चाहिए कि मुझे आके कुछ खाना पड़ेगा, राइट? इट्स माई ड्यूटी. सो आई एम सेइंग दिस बिकॉज a lot of time if you don't emphasize on you yourself being your key of happiness, then you live in the fear of heartbreak. Simple as that. Like तुम हमेशा डरते रहोगे कि यार हाँ इस बंदे की वैलिडेशन, एंड देन इट बिकम्स अ ट्रिकल डाउन इफेक्ट कि हाँ वैलिडेशन नहीं मिल रही है, सबकॉन्शियसली यू स्टार्ट डूइंग बैड थिंग्स, देन लाइफस्टाइल बिगड़ जाती है. लाइक वन स्मॉल चेंज इन योर पर्सपेक्टिव कैन सेव यू फ्रॉम लाइक एन नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स कमिंग डाउन. Yeah, so that's it. That's my take on things, please. So very interesting. मतलब मुझे self reflect करा दिया तुमने, and I think it has been amazing hosting you. It has been really fun. मुझे बिल्कुल पता नहीं चला like how the time has gone. And one last question that I want to ask you is, if you could speak to like 16-year-old Ritu, or anybody at that age, like what would you advise that one person? Because you have come from a very unconventional life, you're creating actual impact on people, you're actually changing life of a lot of people out there, you're helping them make better relationships, right? You're helping them become a better person, to be honest. So like what would you say, because now you're an expert, to yourself in like a 16 or 17-year-old, like that wouldn't be interesting?
This is actually what I've written in my book, like on
Nice.
the last page of the book. I've written this like to my little self. I wish I knew it earlier that I have to learn to forgive faster.
Yeah.
Right? Because forgiving lifts a lot of burden from you.
Yeah, it does.
And you feel free.
Yeah, you do.
मैंने literally वो पता है book के last page पे खुद को वो note लिखा है to my little self. I wish I knew it better.
Nice.
That forgiving is a choice of life. Forgiving is a way of life.
Yeah.
Because when you're forgiving, you want love. Like you're increasing your acceptance.
Yeah.
So you want love to flow, and I was like, I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you're loving and you're rooting for other people, or you're just in a state of love, you're happy.
Everything feels bliss.
Yeah, like you're content. I would say it's not about happiness also, you're content.
Yeah. So I think I have asked this question to a lot of people who have come to my show, but I've never answered it. Today I want to answer it for maybe myself as well. So like I definitely do journaling. I did wrote a letter to myself when I shifted from my job thing, right? Like, because it's a lot of time it's hard. So before I even tell that, I just want to say one line is that nobody in this life can understand you better than yourself.
True.
Yeah. So when you write a letter to yourself, you know exactly what you need to hear from a third person. Now write the letter from a third person perspective, whatever you wanted to hear from that person. And you know it exactly word by word. And then that makes a very, very beautiful letter. Not on that day, but when you read it 1 year from now, 6 years from now, 7 years from now, it will give you immense boost in life. It has done to me, because honestly, like I am like black wool, black sheep, crazy guy of my family. Like nobody has done shit like I've done in my life. I'm honestly trying to understand myself. I'm a very unpredictable guy. But if I would have to say something to myself, it would be, it's okay to fail, and you don't have to prove shit to anyone. So don't live with that expectations. So I think that is very liberating to me. Ki, eventually you are not even a speck of dust in this universe. Your time is very limited. So don't take life too seriously, man. Like live in the moment, enjoy, move on. Because everything you do is very temporary. हारोगे हमेशा नहीं रहेगी वो हार, जीतोगे हमेशा नहीं रहेगी वो जीत. तो I have sort of become detached person both. ना मुझे ज़्यादा बुरा लगता है, ना मुझे ज़्यादा खुशी होती है. It's like you need to be in a rhythmic way, but when you are like no wave at all, you are a dead person. So like if you don't have any pain in your life, you are like a dead guy in coffin, like peacefully so raw, man. That's why it's called rest in peace. So yeah, I think amazing episode. Ritu's gonna be back on the show, definitely. We're gonna decipher a lot of things in terms of relationship, in terms of subconscious states that we manifest unknowingly. So absolutely amazing to host you. Thank you for inviting me here. This is my first offline podcast. So yeah, it wouldn't be possible without her. So yeah, happy Women's Day from both of us. Yeah, from both of us, and we wish you an immensely happy life. And stay tuned for the other 2 stories that will be coming out this week. So thank you guys. Bye bye.
हमारी बस एक छोटी सी रिक्वेस्ट है, अगर आप लोगों को ये पॉडकास्ट अच्छा लग रहा है ना और इससे आपकी लाइफ में वैल्यू ऐड हो रही है ना, तो इसको एक बंदे के साथ ज़रूर शेयर करना। इससे हमें पता चलता है कि हम अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं एंड लोगों को उसी काम का बेनिफिट मिलता है। सो थैंक यू।